Howdy folks, welcome back to Boondockery. Today I've been testing out my rig and my ruck loadout from my old school military surplus. And let me tell you, I know I'm not 18 years old anymore. Now I've been piecing this kit together for quite a while now, well in excess of a year, definitely well in excess. The nostalgic nature of what I've been doing with all of this vintage gear has really, it's been a lot of fun, and I've really enjoyed doing it. And even though this is not complete as far as my loadout or my kit, I couldn't help but to take advantage of this beautiful day and to get out in the woods and try out what I have so far. Now, I've been, doing a little bit of filming, but I've also been doing some patrolling. So I've been out here for about 2.5 hours now, with the exception of the time I took the ruck off for the intro. It hasn't been off yet. Now, granted, I can feel my shoulders, I can feel the small of my back, but believe it or not, this is incredibly comfortable. So I'm going to go ahead and ground my ruck, and then I'll continue on with the conversation. Now, I personally have really enjoyed doing all of these jumping in the old school military surplus bandwagon videos, and it's just been a lot of fun for me, a lot of nostalgia. And the one thing that really hit home as I've been doing these is just how much I have forgotten over the years. Now granted, it's been over 40 years, but still, certain things, it's like the loadout of our ruck and things like that. It's sort of like, I remember, we had the SOP for what we had to take in our rucksack and things like that. And they were on this, it was purple, purple and white. It was mimeographed, really crude drawings with typed writing on it from a typewriter. And I remember holding on to those after I got out of the Army, but I have no idea where they are today. And then I start really thinking about it. What in the world did I take in it? I definitely remember several things that I took in my rucksack. And of course, when I got out of the Army, I pieced together different rigs. It wasn't this one, I sold it, but I reconstructed the one that I did. And I got the ideas, all of them, from the Ranger's Digest, the Ranger Digest. There was a whole series of these little pocket-sized manuals. It was just nothing but hacks that United States Army Rangers frequently used with their gear. Well, they have since compiled those into 2 volumes. I'll put a link in the description box below. And so having those and having the new condensed volumes and stuff, I was able to go back and pretty accurately recreate what I had earlier. But really trying to remember that, and then trying to get online and try to look for loadouts. Now, I can't find anything from the early 1980s. Nothing. 1990s is pretty much the earliest, which is probably be similar stuff, but nothing that far back as far as loadouts go. Tons and tons and tons of information about the gear, the pouches, the harnesses, the packs, and things like that. But I've got those. I know that stuff. So I slowly started piecing together what I remembered I put in these things. So a few things, I haven't put in there yet that I know is going to go in there. Some of the things I still am waiting to purchase, and other things that just, for today, I just went ahead and left at home. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and do a breakdown of everything I'm wearing, everything that's in my ruck, and explain a little bit about, the methodology as to why I use it that way. And hopefully you enjoy it. Just before we get started doing that, there are two references that I have found that I have absolutely loved going through. And one of which was the American Web Equipment 1967 through 1991. It's not remarkably large, but it has a lot of great information from all the gear that was used from 67 to 91, which was particularly interesting because when I was in the Army, we were still being issued M1956 canvas gear, as well as the Linclo M1967 gear, and all of the newest, well, actually from Linclo all the way through what wound up being the last run of the Alice equipment. And the other manual was actually a field manual. I had no idea this even existed when I was in the Army, but it's the FM 2115. Now, this is an original. They actually sell these things in mint condition. They're a little pricey, but this one is, it's a little worn on the cover, but all the pages, everything in it's just phenomenal. And the illustrations in this are remarkably good illustrations. And not at all like some of the manuals I had. Some of the manuals I had, I mean, it was awful. The illustrations in them were just absolutely horrendous. But this is a really well thought out, really well designed manual. This manual really talks a lot about, you're going to be encountering M1956 and M1967 gear. And so they show how to use those complete rigs. Now, just about everything in those rigs are compatible with one another and through the 3 generations. And it discusses all that and illustrates it in here. So if you are nostalgic like me, maybe you're older than me and you want to put your M1967 kit together, you want to put your M1956 together, this will tell you exactly how to do it, if by any chance you've happened to forgot. Now, forgetfulness was a huge thing in this journey. And as I have been remembering things, it's been bringing back a lot of great memories. So it's been a lot of fun all the way around doing this. Let's go ahead and take a look at what I'm wearing. Now, it's going to be important to note that I was a cavalry scout, armored cavalry, when I was in the Army. We had everything that we could possibly need. We were trained in all the infantry gear and weapons. We were trained in all the armor, gears, and weapons. And it was wonderful. I mean, everything was at our disposal. So some of the things that I have, like my shoulder holster and 45, infantry wouldn't have had that. All the NCOs and all of the vehicle commanders, all of the drivers, well, as a matter of fact, every tank crew member had a 45, and the loader and the gunner and the driver all had grease guns, M2, M3 submachine guns, 45 caliber. And so there's things about what I'm wearing and how I'm wearing it that is pretty unique to the Cav Scouts compared to the infantry at the time, and also compared to just armored units at the time. I'm wearing my LBE, I have my gas mask with me, I have a pair of BDUs on, I'm wearing jungle boots, I've got my boonie hat on, which we were never issued boonie hats, never issued. This was something I added after I got out of the Army. We had patrol caps, and I've yet to find a patrol cap that I like that's not repro. And so just a matter of tracking one of those down and getting that. I also had a steel pot, M1 steel helmet, but I don't have the woodland camo cover for it, which that's another one of the things that's on my list to purchase. I'm wearing aviator gloves, and even though I always, which I don't own yet, I own the glove liners. I don't have the black shells, which are plentiful. I just haven't got around to ordering them yet. But I always had those. And on the vehicle, we had heavy-duty gloves for handling concertina and things like that. But I found that the aviator gloves offered a lot more dexterity than any of the other gloves I tried. Now, that was long before the age of mechanics gloves and high dexterity gloves, which anyone can get now. And so these right here just actually perform phenomenally. Later, after I got out, they actually developed a black and olive drab gloves. These are sage and gray, and those were actually for aviators and tank crew members. I guess the folks for the M1s and the M2, M3 Bradley fighting vehicles got those. We never got those, but I have a pair of those as well. Now I'm going to go ahead and take the LBE off and talk about a couple specific things about what I'm wearing underneath of it, and then we'll get on to the loadout of the LBE. Okay, we'll start down with the feet first. I have a pair of jungle boots. These are the McRae Gen 2 jungle boots. I had a video on not too long ago. Seemed to be very well received. And I have them bloused in what I used to call the calf blouse. And when you're before you put your boots on, you pull your pant legs all the way down, cuff them once, tuck your ties off on the inside, wrap that around, and use a blousing rubber or some masking tape. Tape that around. You can get it to stay in there without it, but especially in garrison, that's what we did. And then we had that pulled around so it fit in there nice and tight, and it held the bottom of the trousers in pretty well, so they didn't puff out all that much. And up here I have a piece of 550 cord. This is one of the real common things that we used to do when we were on recon, is to keep the clothing closer to her body to keep from getting hung up on things like concertina wire, greenbrier, things like that. And there's a section here that is sewn, so it's like an eyelet, and it goes all the way through. You run the 550 cord through that, through one of the buttonholes, and yes, it will still button even with that cord running through there. Pull it around, do a half hitch here, pull it around, wrap it around, another half hitch here, and then just a square knot. Now this is not tight, but it is tight enough to hold this in place. If I were to be doing this stuff today instead of back then, which I don't think bungee cord was readily available like paracord was, for us anyway, I would definitely be using the bungee cord for this, just to hold that stuff in. Especially when you're carrying components for MRE or other items in your cargo pockets, having this setup holds that stuff close to your leg so it's not constantly flopping around. And if you are putting some miles under your feet when you're going through the woods and you have things in your cargo pockets and they aren't cinched up and held in place like this, that will rub the skin on your thigh raw, depending on what it is. But anyway, this is something that we very commonly did, and so that's why I'm going to continue doing it. I got my BDU blouse on, sleeves rolled down. Definitely, since I'm so fair complected, it definitely helps me blend into the woods much better than when they're rolled up. I have a Timex wristwatch, very, very similar to the one I bought at the PX at the reception station at Fort Knox, Kentucky, the first morning that we were there. It was the exact same reception station, same building, same barber, same shopette that you would see on the movie Stripes. Everything about it is absolutely identical to what my reception station experience was. And I also have a wrist compass with a cover, and I plan on getting another one of these for a replacement watch. I'm going to keep this until it stops running, but I've had this for several years now and it still keeps perfect time. And so when I buy a replacement, I might buy two, One I'll wear every day like I do, and one I'll get the cover for it. And I originally bought this at the PX shop as well, and be able to have one specifically for the field. I have my shoulder holster on with my M1911A1 45, and as far as stuff I always kept in my pockets, always kept wipes in my cargo pockets. Those right there, these were hygiene, as well as removing camo face paint. Worked beautiful for that. I remember the first time that I tried that, a buddy of mine had kids, and he brought a package of those, and he said, "Here, try these, they work great." And it was the difference between night and day. You could scrub your face until it was beet red and still have that GI issue camo stick embedded in the pores of your skin. In my breast pocket, now when I was in the Army, we had these little notebooks called memorandum books. This is a Write in the Rain book, notebook. But believe it or not, they still actually produce those, and you can buy them on Amazon. Yeah, I'll put a link in there in the description box below. Now this little pocket here looks like it's designed for a pen, and that's what I always kept in it. But when we went to the field, we were issued this little, it looked like a pocket flashlight, but you held it up to your eye and it told you how many rads that you were currently being exposed to. And I don't remember what the nomenclature was. I tried looking for them online. I didn't see them. So anyway, that's what the little pen pocket was originally for. Of course, you know, always had cigarette lighter, and yes, we did have Bics back in the day. A lot of guys used Zippos. The Zippos, they were smelled bad, and they were messy, and you definitely don't want the odor of lighter fluid preceding your presence when you're trying to do a reconnaissance. And on that lighter, I have probably about an 18-inch piece of 1,000-mile-an-hour tape or duct tape, and got that wrapped around there for all kinds of purposes. I've got my ID in my pocket, I got my keys in my pocket. I never kept anything in my back pockets, ever. Everything was in my hip pockets or in my cargo pockets. And and I would almost always have a little belt pocket knife, but we weren't allowed to have that. So you know, I only took it out to the field when we had those. But other than that, I don't have one of those. But everything else, I'm pretty sure is pretty much what I would have when I was in the field. When we broke down our MREs, I would put the snacks in different pockets, and I would just be able to have something to munch on as it went along. Any type of pokey bait, snacks we may have bought at the PX to take out with us, I stick those in the pockets as well. Oh, just forgot. I also had a small folding map case with alcohol pens in it and our maps, and those almost always went in my cargo pocket. Now the scouts in our Cav troop, because we had tankers and scouts in our troop, all the scouts had the M17A1 gas masks. The tankers had, and also the drivers and TCs, the track commanders, had a different style of a gas mask that had a hose coming out of it and a filter on it, and that would actually plug into the gas particulate system that's in the armored vehicles. And so you can use them outside of the vehicle, but when you're in the vehicle, you plug them in. It's like a reverse vacuum cleaner, and it's got a tremendous filtration system in there, and it's constantly supplying you with fresh, cool air while you're in those hot vehicles. One time I had this attached to my LBE, and it was just super convenient to be able to put the LBE on and have this on with it. But there were certain situations to where we had to take it off, because even if we weren't having to have our LBE with us, oftentimes we had to have our rifle, our pistol, or our gas mask with us. So Now, this is the LBE that I put together from the Ranger Digest books. And so on the inside, you can see that there's foam padding. This actually came from a contemporary USMC folding sleep mat. And I've put 1,000-mile-an-hour tape on it, just basically so it wouldn't tear out. And I put zip ties in around the pistol belt to hold it in place. It's in the 3-section area. It's super, super comfortable. I have the old school M1967 suspenders that I modified and retrofitted to have fast text buckles. Now it's called NT Nexus or something like that. They're basic slide lock buckles. And I added a sternum strap, which helps keep that in place when you're crawling about in the soil and you're not losing your shoulder straps. The M1967 strap was an H harness, not a Y harness. Now look at here on the left side of my rig. I have a pistol magazine pouch that I've got a multiplier in, just a multi-tool, and it fits in there perfect. Some of them are just too big for that, so you'd wind up having to put it in your pocket or something like that. And the multi-tools were not abundantly common back in the day. There's only a couple different companies that were making them, but Leatherman was the predominant one. And I modified an M16 magazine pouch by removing the grenade pouches on them, and got my 3 M16 magazines in here. I've got a whole variety of things. I've got OK Industries. I've got let's see, this is Colt. Let's see what this is. General Stamping. And I've got several different ones, and all of which are from the time period when I was in. I always had extra magazine pouches, and this one I retained the grenade pockets on them, and this one was like a general purpose pouch. When I was in the Army, I had a 35mm camera, and my 35mm camera would occupy one of those back in the day. I've just got some snacks in here, some Epic bars, some energy bars, and in here I've got Chem Lights. This is the only brand I could find anywhere, and I would always have a red and a green. Always have those, but these are green and yellow. And in here I have a nice little compact way of transporting all kinds of stuff. I've got Gorilla Tape on this. I've got green duct tape here, and this side, and it's closed with a seal. I have a sewing kit with some heavy-duty waxed linen thread that I can make field repairs with any of my equipment. And then over on the other side, I have tripwire, the GI issue tripwire. And in both of them, I have these little foam inserts on the inside to make it quiet. I have a strand of real 550 cord that actually came off of a parachute. I have the GI camo stick, face paint, camouflage. Oh my gosh. This stuff, I mean, you remove skin as you're trying to put this thing on. We'd always warm them up a little bit with our lighter so they'd be a little bit melty, but you have to be real careful with that because you wind up burning yourself if you take it too far. And this, believe it or not, is the actual camo compact, one of them that I had when I was in the Army. I had a couple different ones, but this one still got plenty of use left in it, and this is what I preferred using to camo up with. And I also have wet ones for the camo removal. Now in the back, there's definitely enough room between the two canteens for a butt pack if I ever choose to put one of those on. I have a small pouch. It's on the side of our canteen pouches, And we had little bottles, wax sealed bottles of iodine tablets that we had. Those things tasted awful. So these are 2-stage water purification tablets. There's one packet you put in your canteen that initially takes away all the bacteria, all the bad stuff, and then once that's set for about a half an hour, then you can put the other packet in, and it basically removes that flavor. So I've got that in both of the canteens. As a matter of fact, I believe both canteens are identical as far as their setup goes. We've got the butterfly handled canteen cup, and let's see, not a date on that one, and standard GI canteen. When I was in, we had just plain green ones without the little valve for your gas mask, or we had the black ones like this one for the valve for your gas mask. There's a little swivel valve on your gas mask. I'll show you that here in just a second. And you could actually drink while you were wearing your gas mask. I think I might actually have one of the older style canteen cups in here. Nope, still the butterfly. I preferred the other ones. You can actually use a Y-shaped stick to be able to put in through the little butterfly handles and use it over a fire. Here's the gas mask, and this is the valve I was telling you about. It just comes right out from there, and that actually plugs into the rubber stopper section and the top of the canteen cap. And you tip that back and you just basically suck that through from the inside like a straw. And there's like a little lever here that will allow that little valve. Let's see if you can see it in here. I don't know if you'll be able to see that or not. That little valve right in there. There's like a little, see if I can keep this open. See that moving? That right there pulls that down into place so you can put your mouth on there and drink out of it. Which is pretty cool because we were all training for a nuclear, chemical, or biological environment, and you got to drink water even when you're on MOP 4. And for those of you that don't know what MOP 4 is, that is 100% complete chemical protection suit. You are completely encased in activated charcoal suits and rubber gloves, rubber boots, your gas mask with a special hood made out of special acid resistant materials, and it's extremely hot. And if you're the least bit claustrophobic, you're going to lose your mind pretty quick. Okay, here's the right side. I've got my Lensthetic compass, actually from when I was in, and it still glows, believe it or not. Got another magazine pouch, 3 mags in it, another variety. Got 2 Colts, and let's see, Cooper Industries magazines. And that's one thing about these magazine pouches. They are designed for the aluminum mags. If you run Magpul magazines, you're not going to be able to get 3 magazines in one of these pouches. And I've got my Fulton angle head flashlight that I had recently posted a video about. I absolutely love these things now. Back in the day, I thought they were clunky, but now there's all kinds of things that I thought were goofy back in the day that I absolutely dearly love today. And and this is my expanded IFAC. There's a couple things in here that are modern, but you know, you need those things today, like a tourniquet. We were never issued tourniquets or anything else like this. We were taught how to make our own field expedient tourniquets should we need it, but that was it. I have some different types of packing gauze, I've got compression bandage. I've got, and that's the old school one, not the Israeli bandage. It definitely takes one person to administer that. You can't do it to yourself like you can with the Israeli bandage. And another cravat or a do-rag, whatever you want to call it. And I always stick a little portable mosquito net in with it, just in case the bugs start getting a little pesky. You're going to be able to sit quietly in your OP and just watch those skeeters land on the net and not you. And on my suspenders, I have the first aid pouch with an old school compression bandage in it and a military carabiner and a hank of 550 cord. Since we were talking about the gas mask, the M17, there's a couple things that I have in my gas mask bag that are definitely from the period. And on the inside, there's a small pocket all the way in the back. And inside that pocket is little chemical agent detector papers. We would tear these out and would tape those on the sleeves of our chemical protection suit, and they would turn different colors. And I don't know if the little key is in here or not, but there used to be, yeah, here it is. And this would tell you what chemical agent you were exposed to. If it was a golden color, it would be nerve gas. If it was this red, it would be blister agent. And then if it's this green over here, it would be another type of nerve agent. And it was perforated. You peel those off, and you would use duct tape, 1,000-mile-an-hour tape, and tape those to the sleeves of your uniform for detection. And this in here, it's a great big old honking Ziploc bag. It is a bag waterproof chemical biological mask. And so if you were going to be in an area to where it's exceptionally wet, you have to keep this thing dry, because if the filters that are tucked away inside here get wet, it will not filter out anything. Matter of fact, you won't even be able to breathe through it. So very important to keep your gas mask dry. And on the exterior, put this in here, was our chemical decontamination container. And inside here we have several little kits for decontamination wipes. You had 1 and 2, and the instructions are right on those. I don't know if these, they feel pretty hard now. So this one had a crush ampule. This was the first one that you used to wipe off your face and things like that, the skin that may have been exposed to the chemical agents. And then this had glass ampules in it. You would crush it, pull that out, and then wipe down the same area that you wiped off with number 1. So that was supposed to completely decontaminate your skin if by any chance it were be exposed to any of those agents. Now, being armored cav, there were very, very few times that we ever had to configure our ruck like this. And this was usually when we had to railhead our vehicles, and they would be going to wherever it is that we were training, and we would have to have everything that we would need for 1, 2, possibly 3 nights of bivouac while we were there, getting the vehicles off the railhead, getting them prepped for the field. And so that's pretty much the way I have this set up. Now, when I was in the Cav, we rarely ever did any rucking whatsoever. We had our vehicles, we got close to the objective. However, sometimes it could be up to 5 to 10 clicks away, but it was still almost all of our stuff was in the vehicle. So we had rucksacks without frames, and we just put the shoulder straps on the rucksacks. This is an LC1 Alice pack. This is exactly like the one I had when I was in the Army. And we would use this the same way people would use an assault pack, 3-day pack, whatever you want to call it today. And it was never stuffed to capacity. There were different ways we could use 550 cord, things like that, to sort of compress it. But whenever we did most of our recons and we had to have any type of a ruck in order to carry mission essential equipment, things like that, this is what we used. But when we were going to go to do bivouac before we got in our vehicles, we had to have everything you needed to have. So this is the loadout. On the bottom, I have a intermediate sleeping bag rolled up very tight. Actually, when I showed this the other day on my surplus finds video, it was approximately at least a third, if not a half size bigger than this. And so when you roll this thing up, you really have to compress it, and then put it in a wet weather bag, fold it around, and I use the spaghetti straps or sleeping bag carrier system to cinch all that down and just make sure that everything's compressed. And then I use Alice cargo straps to hold it to the bottom of my rucksack. On the left side here, well, it's left as I'm looking at it, it's right as you're looking at it, I just have an e-tool, and it's a trifold style in the rubberized plastic. I have no idea what the material is on this, but I've had this ever since I was in the Army, and it's still in fantastic shape, no sign of dry rotting or anything. And on the other side, I have a 2-quart bladder canteen and a machete. And that's actually, this is like the old school style of sheath from at least the M1967 series, because it's that rubberized plastic stuff. And it has the hook system that goes in the eyelets of the Alice strapping that's on the rucksack. Now, on the top here, I have my ISO mat, and I have underneath my flap, I have my shelter half. That's the shelter half, the rope, my tent stakes, and my tent poles. Okay, I had a stowaway down in here. I can't believe I didn't feel it. This is my 5-button sweater. And just in case it gets a little chilly at night, I can put this on underneath my BDU blouse and keep me nice and toasty. Also, you can wear this in your sleeping bag when the temperatures start dropping down just a little bit below the temperature rating of that intermediate sleeping bag. Now again, this isn't a complete official loadout. I just put the things in there I could remember that went in there. If there's anyone out there that has committed to photographic memory all the things that you carried in your rucksack in the early 80s, please put it in the comment section below. Now in the main compartment, it is lined with the wet weather bag, and inside the radio pouch I have a towel wrapped up around my toiletries. I have a sewing kit. If you notice, everything's in Ziploc bags. I didn't want any of my stuff ever getting wet. This right here is my sleep cap that I wear when I'm in my sleeping bag. Just wraps around your head. I call it the bring out your dead hat. If you've ever seen Monty Python's Holy Grail, the hat that the guy wears when he's telling people to bring out their dead from the plague, it looks just like this. So that's my bring out your dead hat. And that is that in the radio pouch. Inside the wet weather bag, I have my whoopee, tied up with 550 cord. I've got a BDU blouse, and believe it or not, that's a gallon sized bag. I was able to fold it and roll it, get it in there. I have t-shirt and underwear in here, rolled together, and I have a pair of BDU pants. So I think, yes, that's everything that I have in the waterproof bag. Now, if you recall from my the breakdown on breaking down MREs, well, they're still here. 4 broken down MREs with my spoon. Here's my spoon, with my spoon. And so that's in that pocket. And the middle pocket is my poncho and MRE bags. I always save those. Lots of good purposes for those. And then this far pouch here are things I, mission specific I want to get to in a hurry, or comfort items that you want to get to in a hurry. Got 2 more chem lights, weapons cleaning kit, 2 pair of socks, foot powder, and that's all I have in it thus far. Again, once my memory starts kicking in, or one of you are kind enough to help me out with what you had in your loadout from the early 1980s, I will be adding to it. So it's not glamorous by any way, shape, or form. Very purposeful, and that's the way that the load plans were when I was in, with the little mimeographed illustrated instructions. And per SOP, this is what I can remember up to this point. Well, folks, there you have it. My old school military surplus loadout thus far. If by any chance any of you can recall the things that you put in your ruck or your rig in the early 80s, please share them in the comment section below. I am going to be putting a link to the compilations for the Ranger Digest books in the description box. But the one thing I do want to point out, the content is fantastic, but the organization of the compilation books has a lot to be desired. They did a chapter from like each one of the little booklets. So if you're looking for a chapter just on LBE hacks, you're not going to find it. It's scattered throughout the entire book. So you'll need to go through it, and I'd recommend getting those little post-it flags and color code the information you may be interested in. Go through and do all that first, and then go back and start reading it. Excellent resource, especially for anyone that enjoys this vintage surplus stuff. I know I had mentioned I was going to be doing a bivouac, and unfortunately the opportunity keeps eluding me. This is my hobby, and I have a lot of other responsibilities with work and family, home, the gambit, and I have not been able to do it yet, but it is still on the list, and I'm really looking forward to getting out and doing it. So it's still forthcoming. Just have to get the opportunity to it. Well, folks, as always, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.